Hello, and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week, the Frontispiece 4 prepare to evade the attention of Selden District while they prep for their infiltration of VRuTech. Hello and welcome. I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hey, I'm Drew, and I'll be playing Cato Burke. If not the Napoleon of crime, then hopefully at least the Ned Ludd of guys who run bookstores.
Hello, I'm Robin, and I'll be playing Cal Armitage, but that's still just officer to you.
Hi, I'm Dez, and I'll be playing Matchstick. You can call me Matchstick. Don't call me anything else. Why would you call me anything else? You don't know my name.
Hello, my name is Nick. I am going to be playing Ing. Ing is an android who is also a drone operator. Not only can he do the robot, but he is consistently doing the robot.
Yeah, I was going to say, arguably everything he does is the robot. All right. Well, we're so happy to be back to it. And thank you to all of our players. We're going to get right into our recap from last time. This time, it's courtesy of Byrne. Take it away, Dez.
So, Ing went to meditation and met someone weird we didn't hear about. Cato found in his stores an archive of digitizations of books from 1995, so long ago, to offer to Professor Rupert Vecht, the OPSEC failure around the auction, and small fry connected to a noted singularist. Cal went to see baby Brock Choi, and surprisingly successfully arranged for a trade of information. Cal also looked up info on Caleb Canopus Dryden, not much other than delinquent housing payments. Most recently in Marcia Stretch in Mariposa Ward, which is not close by. For my part, I did some research into VRuTech and physical routes in and out, and traced Rupert Vecht digitally. It was just very small and sad, man. We're doing this all in preparation for an infiltration of VRuTech in order to exfiltrate or at least erase evidence of Canby's mistake, because they've been threatening her and that's not cool. Also, because it means that we'd all get better access to a tool that would allow us to declutter digital search results and such from contamination by LLM Drek. Separately, I looked into the good officer's background a bit more, found stuff about their Earthside background that mostly added up to political character assassination, possibly by higher-ups. So something definitely going on there. Possibly sympathetic, but there's still a cop. So everything is sus regardless.
Sus.
Marvelous. Thank you. That did a great job of hitting the highlights there.
Of eliding all information not relevant to me.
Yeah, that's more or less what I said, I think.
Eluding more than alighting, but yeah, I guess.
Well,
also, sus regardless, pretty good drag name.
Yeah, honestly.
That would be, yes.
That is a fantastic drag name.
So
free to anybody who listening who wants it.
On the back of in the back of the magazine, yeah, there's free drag names. If not every week, then more weeks than none.
Yeah, clip out this proof of purchase and send it to us for a free drag name. So we were intending after last time to begin this time with everyone's prep rolls, both personal and group, which is going to be a little bit of a rundown, a review of what everybody was doing, which hopefully will give us a good opportunity to recap some of the specifics that Matchstick doesn't necessarily care about quite as much. But yeah, you listened to episode 7. You know what's going on. So I'm going to go in the order that I have these written down. And to refresh both our memories and our listeners' memories, there are 2 types of prep, personal and group. Both are rolled 2d6 plus an ability plus a specialty versus a threshold of 7. You get more prep for rolling more over 7. And that can be spent during the upcoming mission. You can only prep with any given specialty once. But you can stack different types of specialties for prep rolls as you go. The catch is that it takes more time. Every attempt at group prep takes 1 week. Every attempt at personal prep takes 1 day. So currently, we have everybody lined up for 8 concurrent simultaneous days of prep. 1 group prep, 1 personal prep, and we'll see if anything comes up after that. Then we also have some things to catch up with, especially in terms of Cal's social calendar. So we're going to be playing a little fast and loose.
The social calendar, if you will.
Indeed.
It was right there.
It was right there. I really should have gotten it myself. But we're going to start with the prep
That's
rolls.
why you keep me around.
One of many reasons.
It's not the only reason, but it's not a reason.
Yeah. So we're going to start with prep rolls and then circle back around to Cal's meetings with Brock Choi and Vector Ramirez on Sunday. That is Sunday, the 5th of January. Classes
in the
at
distant
G-Pol,
future 2020.
In the distant future 2020. The classes at G-Pol start this coming Thursday. So classes will start mid-prep, it appears. So, with all of that in mind, Ing, I have your prep registered first here. I had that you were, as personal prep, looking into non-lethal ways of subduing people who were attempting to do you harm, and as group prep, researching employees of VRuTech, particularly their security. So, in terms of your personal prep, looking for non-lethal options for subduing opponents, what stat and specialty are you looking to employ? Sorry, ability and specialty.
Yeah, I would love to either use cool or clever, whichever you think appropriate, as well as acquire an asset in order to try to pursue some material means of non-lethal force.
So acquiring an asset is done in place of personal prep, and you're going to struggle a little bit with that because you don't quite have the cash for the type of thing that you are looking for.
Correct.
So I'm going to recommend that we do a clever roll here.
Yes.
Because, you're doing research, and that seems more like a clever thing. And I think what we're going to end up with in this case is not you buying or otherwise acquiring an asset so much as you figuring out how to use the assets that are incorporated into yourself and your drones to achieve the desired effect. Because until you have full cash on hand, it's going to be a little hard. Yes, you absolutely may have a suggestion.
You borrow a textbook on human anatomy from the Frontispiece and learn where not to hit people.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to rule here then that a good way to go about this is going to be to roll 2d6 plus clever, which for you is 3, plus your flesh horticulture specialty, which is the most closely related to human bodies. So you're going to roll 2d6 plus 4 versus a difficulty of 7. Please let me know what you get.
5 plus 4 is 9.
All right, so you will get 1 personal prep from researching how to non-lethally disable human beings.
You're probably reading stuff that like medical students read in their first year, where famously you're much better equipped to kill a person than save them at that point.
So that's for your personal prep. Now, for your group prep, you are researching VRuTech security employees. That probably is also going to be a clever role. Do you feel that it particularly meshes with one of your specialties?
I think that the only social connection here for me would be the androids' rights movement connections. So just kind of loosely inquiring through the people that I know, discreetly if I can, to see if they know anything or can point me towards somebody who can point me towards somebody, et cetera, et cetera.
Very good. That's going to be 2d6 plus 5.
That's a total of 10.
All right. So that's going to be 2 group prep over the course of 1 week. It turns out that, perhaps not surprisingly, there is some overlap between singularists and which overlap to a great degree with the Android rights movement and the VRuTech employee pool. So we're going to make sure to make a note for everybody to know that Ing has contributed to group prep. All right. So we're going to continue on our rolls here before we get into the blow-by-blow scene stuff. Cal, I have you up next here. For your personal prep, I have you trading info with Brock Choi. Choi wanted information on Lou Tupper, your boss at Polytech Security Solutions, in exchange for information on VRuTech.
Yes.
Looking at your sheet here, where do you think the combination of ability and specialty aligns?
I think it would fall under clever and my investigation and potentially my law specialty.
I think that investigation could be the one if you don't want to use that for your group prep. Otherwise, you could use corporate security specialty for your personal prep and then your investigation for your group prep.
I'm saving that one for the gun lessons.
All right. So if you have clever plus investigation, that's going to be 2d6 plus 5 for your personal prep.
Okay. So that I rolled a 7 plus 5, that'll be 12.
All right. So that's going to be 2 total personal prep for you from that. And we will get to your actual conversation with Mr. Choi shortly. Cal, for your group prep, what I have is that you are going to be sort of using your private investigator skills and tools and connections to investigate some VRuTech employees, perhaps as sort of like a companion piece to what Byrne will be doing in a minute, of trying to preserve everyone's anonymity during this whole operation. So that is, I'm guessing, going to be a cool role. Which specialty do you see this as being in conjunction with?
Law or investigation?
I believe we just used investigation.
Yes.
So it is off the table for more prep. So let's go with law. That is still then going to be 2d6 plus 5.
Mm-hmm. Got an 8 on that one. So 13.
Right. So that will be 7, 10, 13. That'll be 3 group prep from Cal. I can do arithmetic. All right. That moves us on to Byrne. For personal prep, you were investigating VRuTech HQ's escape routes. Routes? Whatever.
Whatever.
What do you see your role there being?
I see that as hacking.
Mhm.
So clever and hacking, I think, gets me +6
Plus
or
6 it is.
+5 rather.
I believe between the action and the generic, you actually end up at 6.
Oh, right. Yes. Thank you.
So 2d6 plus 6.
And so that is an 8 becomes 14.
Okay. That will be 3 personal prep to you for discovering some information about VRuTech HQ to be specified later. Then from last time for your group prep, I had you investigating VRuTech employees like files and credentials.
Oh, I thought the group prep was the covering everyone's tracks.
I
you had
have
just mentioned.
perhaps artificially divided those things because otherwise you would then be doing 2 separate group preps, which would take a total of 14 days.
Yeah, no.
And so I was, for convenience, saying that yes, this has been done.
Okay, cool.
But we are assigning actions a little bit more specifically, and then you can draw on the various things that were involved in that.
So I'm
when you are
thinking,
looking for
given
flashbacks and
the
whatnot.
like covertness flavor to the whole thing, that ghosting is the option there.
All right. And your statistic for that?
Clever as well.
All right.
Why would I do anything
2d6 plus 6.
That is 9, so 15.
15 is 7, 10, 13 plus 3 group prep from Byrne. Looking like it's going to be not too shabby so far. Go. All right. And then rounding out our group here is Cato. For personal prep, I had you doing, and I'm more or less quoting from our previous recording here at this point, fixery things with Bronwy.
Yeah, I think throughout the week I get in touch with Bronwy, and being that she's on the run now, sort of invite her to stay here if things are especially hot, and as the week goes on, slowly unfurl stuff that we haven't been telling her. Now, at each step of this, I of course have a discussion with Matchstick, and the degree to which I have to ignore what Matchstick says may depend on the day.
Fair enough. In terms of a role, what are you thinking?
It's a good question.
Ability plus a specialty.
Yeah, ability seems like it's probably criminal underground, because this is a fellow
That would be a
operator.
specialty. Yes.
You are correct. Yes. Ability, I don't know, is this clever or is this cool? It's one of the two for sure.
I would hear an argument for either.
I think it's probably more clever, because I'm not necessarily functioning just on charm. I'm trying to, when I speak to Matchstick, the goal is not just to listen until the objections subside. It's to figure out exactly what is actually an OPSEC disaster versus what is merely an OPSEC risk.
Okay.
And risk tolerance.
And also what is merely a mumbleteen-year-old objection.
Indeed, yeah. Separating the mumbleteen chaff from the OPSEC wheat is probably an intellectual exercise, and therefore I would say clever.
OPSEC wheat implies the existence of OPSEC flour and OPSEC bread, and I am not.
Yes, we are going to crush their security into OPSEC flour and exfiltrate that OPSEC bread.
Yes. Over the week, in the ashes of the oven, I create an OPSEC pumpernickel, and
I mean, I'm ready for OPSEC beer.
Well, that means we have to figure out OPSEC hops. So,
Hopsec, if you will.
Hopsec.
I think we've just found the episode title,
Yes, we did.
which has nothing to do with anything, but is still funny.
we will see what happens, I suppose. In the meantime, this right here, just this far into the episode, is where I get officially past my bedtime. So, It looks like if we're going clever is 2, criminal underworld is 2, so you're going to be doing 2d6 plus 4.
Cool. That is 10 plus 4 is 14.
All right, so you are going to get 3 personal prep from your Bronwy-related fixery thingamagummies. Now, if you're group prep, I have you looping in Officer Armitage to help you figure out how to use the gun that Cal got from the Terabyte Boys at the conclusion of the auction fiasco.
Yeah, the officer gave me this gun, and I should probably know how to use it.
All right. So what is your role here?
That's a good question. It sure as hell ain't cool. I would need to look it up because tough has not come up for me too much in this campaign, but is that the proper thing to do with like weapons and like physical combat, or?
It seems like for ranged weapons, quick is going to be the more common thing.
Cool. I mean, that's good news for me from a stat perspective, so sounds good.
Now, in terms of a specialty, I don't know that either of yours apply because criminal underworld, maybe I could see, but you've already used it. Cybernetics doesn't seem particularly well suited, so you may just be rolling.
Using it in his cyber arm.
One of my arms is going to have to fire it, and they're both quite cybernetic, so
I suppose that the use of your arms has never fallen under cybernetics before. Like, they are augments, but cybernetics as a skill seem to be much more related to you, like, designing or installing or modifying cybernetics.
If I have to alter my arms in order to fire the gun, then that makes sense. But it probably, logically, the fine work arm can pull a trigger just fine. So,
I'm not trying to be obstinate here. However, it does not seem like the sort of thing we've used the specialty
you
for.
and I leapt on that.
Look, everything is cybernetics when you're me, is what I'm saying.
There's no way for me to assist with this.
It's cyber all the way down?
Not mechanically, no. I mean, obviously you are assisting with it, but in terms of how we are rolling it up, it is Cato's prep. So, let's have you make a quick roll. It is your best attribute. Yes, I am being a little bit of a meanie here in denying you the use of your other specialty, but that it doesn't seem to add up in my accounting ledger. So if you are one group prep short of being able to succeed this mission, then I give you permission to lambast me in the peaks.
That's every part of this is fair, at least to some degree or other. Okay.
So your roll here is going to be 2d6 plus 3.
Cool. That is once again 10. Plus 3 is 13.
All right. So you're going to get the group plus 3 prep. We've been remarkably consistent
up to
this.
11. Is that right?
Looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
We're very prepared. There's no way we can fail.
That's how that works, yeah.
Famous last words. So, are there any other matters relating directly to prep that we wish to handle currently? All right. So,
I guess one thing is, how did it like how much has Bronwy been around? This is a bit of a we can abstract it to some degree, but it's a sort of a discussion between us and the GM, and if that's coming next, all good.
So I'm going to rule that we will handle that momentarily, based primarily on the way that you imagine these interactions having gone over the course of 8 days. Before we do get to that, though, we have a couple things we need to handle with Cal on Sunday the 5th, I believe, of January. Yeah, Sunday the 5th.
Totally.
Relating to Cal's social calendar.
The calendar.
Right, yes. How did I miss that twice? I question
Unclear,
myself
my dude.
sometimes. Yeah. So, Cal, you're expecting some kind of message from Brock Choi, the greengrocer, around 10 a.m. on Sunday the 5th, which is the next day after the conclusion of our more or less real-time, sort of elements of last session. I guess, is there anything specific you are doing before this meeting?
I suppose it would be the equivalent of a thumb drive, but I am putting some files about Lou Tupper on the thumb drive to make sure I arrive suitably equipped.
So last time you had specified that you were looking for things that were like maybe useful, but not so specific as to get you in trouble. I won't necessarily demand that we be too much more specific than that, but I guess as a general guiding principle, like how forthcoming are you planning on being here?
Enough. My thinking is to equip him with something not widely known, but early on, and how PSS came to be campus security.
Mm-hmm. This is fun because it ends up with me basically editorializing on what's actually in the rule book.
Editorializing on what's in the rule book. Okay. Am I allowed to go into more detail on that, or should I save that for the actual conversation?
I was going to say, if you have a pre-existing idea of what ends up in this dossier that you're putting together, by all means, this is a good time.
So to my understanding, the G-Pol campus police were initially disbanded due to poor handling of student protests. So I will be furbishing papers that connect Lou Tupper to some brutality that occurred during those protests.
All right. Excellent. That fits in fairly well here because, yes, Polytechnic Security Solutions sort of came to be and was hired on as sort of the second attempt at campus security after what you're describing. Lou Tupper, and this is information that I would say Cal has long since surmised, but is not common knowledge outside of Polytech Security Solutions. Lou Tupper primarily wants to sell the company, right? Mm-hmm. That is his goal, is to sort of play cowboy in the meantime and eventually sell the company at a profit to a larger player in the security space, and then retire comfortably. That is what you have sort of inferred his plan to be. So obviously he would not want to be linked to the botched responses that got PSS, in place to begin with. So this will form the sort of diamond core of your information, and then you sprinkle it with some other more specific and maybe less like immediately useful, but certainly practical if you were handing this to somebody who wished to be able to interface with Tupper directly. The more specific things that you're sprinkling in there would be relatively useful because they would give them information on how to handle him. But this is sort of the main thing that you've got in terms of like, I don't know, revelation may be too strong a word, but actionable information, I suppose. So you have put this together. Presumably you rise at a reasonable hour and are sort of ready and awaiting, and sure enough, at 10 on the dot you get a message from Mr. Choi that reads as follows. I don't know if you've been, but I've been supplying produce to a relatively new restaurant in the area called Izakaya Po' Boy. Meet me there in 20 minutes and we'll have the privacy to discuss, the owner has assured me.
in which Adam finds new ways to shoehorn this restaurant into this game.
If you all weren't so visibly harmed by it, I would not prioritize it. But because every time it comes up, everybody is like visibly in pain, I'm incentivized to keep using it.
I send a
Because
text.
the listener, go for it. Sorry, I was just going to editorialize that because the listener cannot see my face. For me, it's a difficult dance where I am horrified, but I also would go in real life.
Right, exactly.
I send a text back. Will my previous visits to this establishment be a problem?
Mr. Troy responds, "Oh, you've been? Well, you'll have to let me know what's good on the menu then."
I just send a thumbs up.
And then it is about time to get going. And so you meet Brock there. Sure enough.
Also, if you're looking at your phone, your message about prior visits being an issue there gets a thumbs up that is not from Brock.
I send back the cop person emoji.
You get the katakana shrug in response.
Oh boy. At the end of this campaign, I'm going to have to calculate how much time we spent describing emojis and emoticons across the whole campaign. To be clear, I will have the highest count on that. So you are
Sounds
punctual.
Like a challenge.
Take it however you wish. You are punctual in showing up at Izakaya Po'boy. It is close by. And true to Brock's word, you two are the only ones in evidence. You show up very slightly before Brock, but you are not like all the way inside by the time you see him kind of approaching the restaurant. So almost simultaneous. And Sim comes out to take drink orders and then makes himself scarce.
I order water as usual.
Mm-hmm. Brock orders, perhaps unknowing of what it will entail, the Cajun hot sake. And when it arrives, he gives it a somewhat blank look and tries a sip, says nothing, and sets it down, and then addresses you. He begins. "Glad to see you again, officer. As always, uncertain how serious inquiries are on the first time. I am glad that you are real customer. Have you said you've been here before? I'm assuming that you wouldn't have recommended the Cajun hot sake, but have you had anything here that's good?"
I can't say I've had much more than this, and I hold up my water glass. But the last one that ordered the Cajun hot sake had a similar reception of it.
"Well, when we place our food order, I'll probably ask for a glass of ice so that I can turn this back into beer. But hopefully the other menu items are not so ill-advised. I appreciate your candor so far, and I have assembled some information for you, but, once we have our food, I'll be interested to see what you have for me. Does Caldy order any food?"
But I'm sure there's a wealth of deep fried items.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
I would get whatever the equivalent is of chicken tenders.
All right. You order... Oh, go ahead.
The menu item that is on a lot of restaurants that have interesting things that is either designed for kids or the people that genuinely don't want to be there.
Fair enough. The menu doesn't have a section for this, but you are able to sort of spy out the karaage. I do not guarantee my pronunciation there, but it is essentially, the Japanese fried chicken. And in this case, it comes with a barbecue sauce on a bed of sliced greens. So
Perfect.
relatively simple order. Brock, sort of considers, and then orders a menu item that is on the menu with on the menu under the name quotation marks classic po' boy. You are not entirely sure what those quotation marks are going to mean in this case.
Terrifying.
It could be sarcasm,
Mhm.
like how to protect and serve is in italics on cop cars.
Yeah, I guess I tend to read italics as emphasis, but it could very well be read in a number of ways.
Yeah, I mean the SpongeBob font would be more appropriate, I guess.
Comic Sans.
Common sense.
Papyrus.
I was going to say, boy, police departments the world over better hope that I never end up in charge of the decoration of their cars. So, you receive your karaage, and Brock gets his quote unquote classic po' boy, which looks for all the world like a moderately dressed beef au jus sandwich, of the type that you would get as po' boy, but as not the one eating it. You can't be sure if there's any too clever by half twist that will torpedo the whole thing. After your food arrives, which is pretty quick, Sim just disappears. He said very little, and he has been retreating to the back almost immediately after everything has been sort of entered. So here you have your food, and Brock immediately comes to business, and he produces the Grand Cross version of like a micro SD card. It might just be a micro SD card, but I leave it to our listeners' imagination to sci-fi it up a little bit for a space station. And he sort of places it in between himself and you, and he says, I think I mentioned last time we spoke that I used to work for VRuTech. Now, that is true. I worked for them when they were a purely terrestrial company. I was not high in the hierarchy, you understand, basically a glorified intern. But this did give me certain avenues to investigate their Grand Cross presence after the fact. They are at current unaware of this, and I hope that they shall remain so. He gives you a serious look, but doesn't insult you by extracting a verbal reassurance. And goes on to say, this information is current to the best of my knowledge, though it is incomplete. I wish to be honest and upfront with you about what I have. The plans should be construction accurate, but any changes they might have made after that, well, you will have to deal with on your own. This is a very incomplete list of personnel, but the ones who are on this list, I can guarantee you, are currently employed in the roles that I have indicated here. What I lack is credentials, security access, those kinds of things. I hope the information will be useful to you all the same. I also... Go ahead.
I nod and say, I think I can fill in the rest.
He gives you a smirk and slides the card a little bit closer to you and says, well then, it is not comprehensive information, but I think it is undeniably useful and not very widely available information. What have you for me on Blue Tupper?
I set the thumb drive on the table in the same manner that he did the Cyberpunk SD card. And slide it across from him. Or slide it across to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be pleased by what you find in those files. some less commonly known information about his involvement in some mess ups with campus security prior to PSS getting the contract.
He raises his eyebrows and says, "That is most interesting. I suppose it may not be shocking, given." And then he cuts himself off and he says, "Well, I appreciate it all the same."
I've also included some documents on how to deal with Tupper should the need arise.
He gives you a, I feel comfortable calling it a rakish smile, and says, "I hope never to have to do so myself, but if any intermediaries must deal with him, this will be most valuable." He sort of reaches forward towards your thumb drive in a way that makes it a question, and awaits some kind of response from you.
I nod.
He slides it over to himself, and it disappears over the edge of the table, presumably into a pocket of some kind. And he sort of gives a silent nod toward the Cyberpunk SD card that he's put on the table as he lifts his soggy beef sandwich up in two hands and takes a giant bite of it, chewing and looking thoughtful.
I also pocket the SD card and carve off a portion of the fried chicken, being sure to include a healthy serving of the greens underneath.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm not mistaken, karaage is usually served in sort of small, like bite-size bits here.
Oh, perfect.
So you get, let's say, like 2 of those on a fork with like a bit of the bed of greens here, and scoop it up. And to your genuine surprise, it is delicious. You are ill-equipped to say how accurate it is to Japanese karaage, but it is savory, juicy, crunchy, a little bit of heat, but not so much that it, is overwhelming. And the sauce on it has managed to give it a nice tang without making the tempura soggy. It is sort of glazed rather than soaked. It is genuinely quite tasty. And for Brock's part, he is looking thoughtfully at his sandwich while he chews. And once he swallows, he goes, "I didn't expect tataki. That was a surprise. But it is pleasant." And he takes another bite.
This is quite good.
He sort of finishes a second bite and gestures at the greens, and he goes, The greens are the freshest that I could manage, but I could not tell you anything about the rest of it. My conversations with Sim have suggested that he knows what he's doing. He just maybe is a little mad with power." And he chuckles.
I snort a little at that, the edges of my lips curling slightly upwards.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely remember this menu item and be able to recommend it in the future. But I must say, I'm impressed, Brock. I did a little bit of digging on you, and it's not often that someone is a ghost.
He has his mouth full while you're talking, and he sort of gives you sort of like some generically responsive sort of like eyebrow raise.
Mm-hmm.
But then once he finishes his bite and swallows, he says, "There are many things with which I struggle to excel, but my primary occupation is not one of them." And gives you sort of a crooked smile, and he says, "This is unusually pleasant, officer. Most of the time when I deal with the law, or to be honest, any of my customers, it is tense or fraught, or somebody's posturing. But this is just a pleasant Sunday morning. I appreciate that."
Of course. I see this as the beginning to a fruitful relationship. Though fruitful may not be the best word here, and I hold up another fork full of the greens.
Vegetal.
He chuckles, not inauthentically. He seems genuinely like amused, but also slightly more awkward than you've seen him before. For my amusement, I would love to get a roll from you, just cool. So 2d6 plus 2.
Oh dear. Oh, so that's going to be 9 on the dice, plus 2 is 11.
It's a little hard to catch, but you are sure that you're not imagining it. He's blushing slightly.
They've got an admirer.
Oh gosh. I take a very slow sip of my water and pretend not to notice. In fact, there's suddenly lint on my shoulder that catches my attention.
Right around that time, Sim comes back out and Brock requests his glass of ice for his Cajun hot sake. And you pass the remainder of your meal in very sporadic small talk around munching on your meals. And Brock insists that he be allowed to cover the bill at the end.
I don't protest.
Unless there's anything else that you particularly want to cover or say with Brock, then you are on your way.
I am sure to make some small talk about the other restaurants to whom he delivers to, since I imagine that he is a man of discerning tastes and they might be worth checking out.
Sure, we'll abstract it for now, but he's happy to talk about it. For all that his main business seems to be not greengrocering, he does seem to enjoy the greengrocering part of it. And so you come away with a short list of, sort of other places, not exclusive to Selden District, but mostly in Turing Ward, though not exclusive to Selden District. You gain a handful of other potential restaurant recommendations, and then you are on your way. Now, this is making for a very Cal-heavy opening bit here, but Cal was the one who had the social appointments.
Apologies.
Is there... No, you're all good.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is there anything between breakfast and dinner on Sunday specifically, unrelated to the specifics of prep here, that any of our other three characters desperately wish to get done?
I would like to... With the GM and the good officer's permission, I would like for Byrne to have some inkling of the conversation and perhaps the character dynamics that resulted there. So I can tease the officer about having an admirer.
I, for my part, I'm going to express my desire for that to be able to happen, but I think it perhaps needs to be a little deferred here. I don't see a situation where Choi or Cal would have let you know where they were going to be.
I'm just imagining that I'd have tapped a line in Cal's phone. That's all.
And so, you may have the initial exchange that led to brunch, but I think perhaps the dynamic there is going to be forthcoming for you.
Okay.
But because I am amused by the idea, but perhaps wish to draw it out a little bit in my sadism. Cato, Ing, anything in particular between brunch and dinner on Sunday, the 5th of January?
Not on my part. I think that I'm engrossed in my, preparations.
All right.
Also, separately, Cal, do you relay any of Brock's information to me for my part of research?
Yes. I will send the contents of the SD card.
That was going to be my assumption.
Yeah.
That everybody
You
was,
get
was going
a
to.
shockingly sincere and straightforward thank you.
I send a thumbs up back.
Yeah. I will say, just for the sake of flavor, that in kind of leading up to this mission, feeling a bit nervous about what may or may not happen, I try this whole meditation thing again. Not terribly successfully, but an effort was made.
Yeah. I was going to give you the opportunity to roll if you wanted to, but if you don't want to, that's fine too.
Yeah, let's let the dice decide how successful that was.
Yeah.
What should I roll?
Cool plus philosophy, which is going to be 2d6 plus 4.
Double ones.
Okay, yeah. So not terribly successfully indeed.
You encounter that screensaver and are lost in it for an hour.
Yeah, that's what I was going to rule is that the screensaver intrudes anytime you feel like you are getting close to emptying your mind.
I meanwhile learn more about how the gun works than is strictly necessary to operate it. I take it apart, I clean the component parts, and they probably need a cleaning after the previous owner. But then I keep doing that, procrastinating actually firing the thing for a while.
Right. Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So if that's what's going on during the middle and afternoon of the day, then I think our next stop is Cal's dinner with Vector Ramirez, arranged at Ramirez's request, in order to keep you up to speed with what's been going on at PSS HQ in the aftermath of the auction. Ramirez has asked you to meet him at a casual dining restaurant that does a lot of traffic during the school year with students who want a sit down rather than fast food meal but don't want to pay very much for it. This time of year before the semester begins, it tends to be kind of a ghost town. So he pulls you in for dinner to we're going to call it McGee's.
Is it on Brock's list?
No.
Okay.
Brutal.
Almost everything they serve is defrosted.
Gotcha.
Part of the reason why it is cheap enough to be popular with students.
I've probably been there a fair few times.
Almost certainly. So, Ramirez has already gotten a table when you arrive, though you are not late. And he waves you over. He's got a cheap and cheerful bottle of beer and a hot wings appetizer already going. He's wearing street clothes and looks tired.
I like to think he's already ordered me a water with lemon too.
You know what? He probably has. Let's say as they see you come in, there's basically nobody else in evidence. So the waitstaff brings you a water with lemon and asks if you're interested in an appetizer.
I gesture to the wings.
Presume not. So Vamoose and Ramirez gives a gusty sigh. He goes, what a fucking week.
You can say that again. I hold up my glass of water to his beer.
He taps his bottle of beer on your glass of water and says, I guess it will. What a fucking week. So, IMX has been at the station. They've come overtly, but even right after the auction, they were sending folks down to talk to Lou. I don't guess you've got any... Well, he waves his hand. Never mind. I don't want to hear it. However, without knowing what exactly it is that went down, all I can say is this. Typically, Lou just gets emails from IMX, right? They're a business interest. They have requests about security or information or whatever, but they've had 2 reps at the office since this auction thing. And, I mean, you know how Lou gets, right? Yeah, of course you do. But he's been that way, but more so after every conversation. It's gotten worse. So they have something on him, I guess. I mean, maybe if you know something, you can tell me. But he's less happy every time IMX shows up. And by my count, they've been here 4 times. Well, been there 4 times.
Have you picked up anything that they might know about the auction?
I wish I had, but I mean, Lou's not actually that big on security, but these IMX guys, they make sure that I don't get nothing. They lock down that office while they're in it. Makes me think they've got something specific going on, but I don't know. I'm on the outside there. I only got PSS stuff. So what I can tell you is that we bought 3 IMX surveillance drones from them in the last 2 days. Haven't seen them go out. Haven't seen them be put to use. Extortion? Not sure. Lou's mad as hell, though.
Shit. I take a long sip of my water. This is not a good situation.
No shit. He does.
I don't
chuckle.
know what that thing was at the auction. And I'm not going to give you too much details because I don't want to drag you into this.
Appreciated.
But it's a security threat, not just to campus, but the whole station.
Fuck. You know who shouldn't be handling threats to station security? Lou fucking Tupper.
Amen to that.
You think it's an IMX bot?
No. Never seen anything like it.
Fuck. He takes a big swig of his beer and then houses 2 wings.
Listen, Ramirez. I don't like this situation. The auction felt like a setup. For whom? I'm still not entirely clear. The thing is contained for now. A bunch of kids are involved, which I don't like. But I ain't got no other option.
He raises his eyebrows disbelievingly and then remembers who he's talking to and he goes, okay, so just for clarity, kids or younger than you kids?
Younger than me kids.
Okay, not good, but not as bad.
If you met them, you might rethink that.
He waves his
Not a
hand
bad
as
group.
though God forbid. He sort of looks a little thoughtful and he goes, all right, so there's some kind of tech. IMX is involved somehow. The sellers. All I have is the name, Terabyte Boys. We got a little bit of information on them. What can you tell me about them?
Incompetent. They didn't know exactly what it was they had. They thought they were going to make some money off of this thing without realizing they were part of the setup. There were some high spenders there, but everyone was fairly anonymous. And at this point, it describes some of the masked folks, the voices. I'm also going to update him on the professor being the OPSEC issue.
Hearing about Vect, he just goes, son of a bitch. The moped guy? Shit.
The one and only. I'm half inclined
right.
to put out another another ticket on that damn moped to see if can't get at least some shits and giggles out of the situation.
Yeah, well, maybe for the best, I guess. Shit. Look, I don't want to put more on your plate or anything, but he sort of leans in, looking a little bit seriously. He says, "What, if anything, do you know about Law Zero?"
Adam, what do I know about Law Zero?
Easy answer. You have heard the name, and you have heard it in connection with androids. That is the extent of what you know. They do not really operate around G-Pole.
Okay. I've heard of them. I'm not really familiar with them. I kind of dismissed it as something that Maddie used to talk about.
He nods slowly. He says, "All right, well, that's reasonable. They're not really around here so much, but a couple of guys, not ours, you understand, have seen some of their guys around. Well, seen some of their people around. Thing is, they're android organized crime. At least so goes the rumor mill. So they can kind of look like anything. You could see the same Law Zero operative twice, and they'd be in a different body even. Not that that's common. That's an expensive kind of thing to do, but it does make them hard to track. Well, I have it on good authority that there's been some Law Zero activity for the first time here around G-Pole. Since that auction. That doesn't seem like an accident to me.
That's absolutely not an accident. Do they have anything for a particular motif?
Unfortunately, not so much. They will work with non-androids, though all formal members are said to be androids. And that means they're kind of hard to spot, because, if you make one of their bodies, they can just get a different one if they need to.
It's hard to track down what's always changing. Adam, could you remind me of the two high bidders? I know one of them had some pretty fancy augments. I can't recall if she was a android.
So I believe the two that I was particularly specific about were a masculine presenting human bidder with a cap and a mask, who was on a phone call of some kind on the way out, and an android with a very fancy frame, who was one of the first out of the basement.
I think for a moment and then describe that android to Ramirez.
Ramirez nods. Go ahead.
She seemed pretty confident that she was going to win the auction. Of course, I had a little bit of help, but managed to blindside both of the major bidders.
Well, I'm glad they don't seem to know who you are, because the other thing we haven't gotten to yet is that, a lot of Selden District is just students, faculty, support staff for them, but to the degree that the underworld is present here, all of them and all the security forces are increasingly concerned with this auction as it becomes clearer that nobody really knows who made off with the technology.
I plan to keep it that way. If you want to take them on a goose chase, I've got a guy for you. Former PSS and with the Terabyte Boys.
Ooh, send it to me. I'll see what I can do. But in the meantime, if you got this android and this other guy looking for you, that may not be good news. Now, I don't have anything on that specific description, but it fits the MO of Law Zero. And I don't know who they'd have sent necessarily. It's not like I've got a roster or whatever, but if they're going to be moving that kind of money around, I'd place bets on it not being some kind of low-level mook.
Are they involved with the Singularist in any way?
Show me a sufficiently large android organization that doesn't have some ties to Singularists, and, I'll be super surprised. But, I don't know, Law Zero tries to keep that kind of thing on the down low, it seems like, because, if they've got ties, they don't want them advertised, and neither do the Singularists for that matter. So I would put money on them having some contacts, but I couldn't tell you anything specific.
Kova Levy was spotted talking with Vect.
He looks thoughtful for a moment and says, "Yeah, I suppose that's not terribly surprising. It's that AI researcher, Singularist guy, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, my understanding is that Vect is trying to... His star isn't rising in the university, so he's pursuing other avenues. Seems like he really admires Levy.
Yeah. I could see easily how he would be compelled by that, considering what we found of his background. We also had an encounter with someone else that might have been a part of Law Zero. Call themselves Canopus.
He gives you a blank look and goes, "Well, shit, that's news to me. I'll see what I can find."
My own searches weren't very successful, but I've been trying to stay off PSS databases as much as possible, as I'm sure you can understand why.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, but I'll see what I can do and get back to you. Well,
yeah. What was his full name? I have Caleb written down. Oh, Caleb Dryden. There we go.
Yes, Caleb Dryden.
Yeah, full name Caleb Dryden. I found a bunch of derelict housing, non-payments, different addresses. Seems like a cold trail, but kind of matches the way that Law Zero seems to operate.
Could be. And yeah, no, the alias fits with their aesthetics, I guess. But he jots down Caleb Dryden / Canopus and puts his little flip book back in his pocket as he finishes his beer and sort of sits back and is like, "Well, not that I need to tell you, but this is an absolute fucking mess. Hope you can get to the bottom of it."
It may take some time, but I'm on it. Keep your ear to the ground. But don't compromise yourself.
He kind of chuckles and kind of does a little flat of his hand on the table for emphasis and goes, "Well, we both know PSS isn't going to do it on their own, so it's up to us, I guess."
We'll figure it out, Ramirez. I won't say we've been through worse, because I don't think we have.
He chuckles. "Maybe not. But we'll get through it either way. Just keep me posted and keep your head down. Tupper's... he's in a state."
Isn't he always?
Well, not like this.
Well, if my work has been any indication as of late, he might have something to distract him. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I'm still filling that out.
Ramirez nods thoughtfully. Says, "All right, well, I appreciate you coming out to do this more securely. I know you know. But anything else, or shall we focus on enhancing our dining experience?"
I figure enhancing our dining experience would be best right now, unless there's anything I can do to help take some of that heat off your back.
He makes a vague gesture and he goes, "So far, it's just a matter of having to be in the office where Tupper is. Hopefully, he takes to drinking himself to sleep soon, and then I wanted to deal with him in the evenings."
It's only a matter of time.
He waves down the waitstaff, orders another beer, and puts in his sandwich order for the actual meal. Get whatever you like, but conversation turns to more casual things after that.
Or make a point of asking him how his kids are doing.
This is a canny move because he is able to alternately enthuse about them and complain about their teachers and coaches for the rest of the meal.
I allude to keeping an eye out for the teachers and coaches during my traffic patrols.
Yeah, you guys share a good laugh about that, as well as some okay bar and grill food. It's fine. So, that brings us to roughly the end of Sunday. We had all of this prep going on, kind of in the background, taking us all the way through to the following Monday, which I will do the math for the calendar on some other time. But in terms of the prep that we had rolled on earlier, is there anything in particular that we wish to check in on to narrate other than that conversation with Brock Choi?
I'm going to send the group text the heads up about Law Zero, along with my postulation that the fancy framed android might be part of their motif, and the fact that they can change their appearance at a whim. I'll also throw in an alert about the 3 IMEX surveillance drones and see if anyone can tap into what those might look like.
Okay.
Why, yes, I might hope to be able to do that. Pending, of course.
Let's take a couple of things there by turns. So, first off, Cato. Part of your prep was communicating with Bronwy about fixery things and maybe also giving her a place to lay low at the Frontispiece. So we don't have to do, a series of fully inscenified conversations there. But in response to her sort of notice that the heat is up to the point where it's even affecting her, I guess, what are your responses and overtures there?
The first thing I do is say, look, we appreciate you getting us out of a fix, and we'll get you out of a fix too if it comes up, and it looks like it's coming up. The second thing I do is talk to Byrne about the fact that we may have a guest. Actually, no, that's the third thing I do. The second thing that I do is put a tarp over our other guest.
All right.
Such that even if someone were to say stay in that room, they wouldn't immediately, well, at least until it started reciting pi, know that we had something there.
Yeah, you make it
so we don't have
plausible.
Yeah. Just equipment. Don't touch it. Very volatile.
For the love of God.
Gorister will be mad if you touch it.
Exactly. So yeah, I think the slow escalation would be Bronwy is probably invited to spend time here if that's something she needs to perhaps even stash some stuff here if there's nowhere else to stash it.
She takes you up on that offer because she doesn't need to move everything from her shop, but some of the more suspicious or warranty voiding kinds of things that she keeps in her shop, she does bring over. Because if you remember, her shop is more proximate to the basement and building than the Frontispiece is, so it's coming under a little bit more scrutiny than your space. Plus, anybody who looks at the floor plans for the Frontispiece will realize that there's a fairly extensive back area, but anybody who's just been past or into the sales floor of it, not so much.
It's even possible we have a falsified floor plan out there somewhere. We have a gremlin for that.
I will say that it is lightly falsified in this case.
I like it,
but
just some things marked, living quarters and whatnot.
I think I would almost prefer that it's lightly falsified. There's a hiding in plain sight aspect that I clearly
for sure.
like, given that I named effective. It the Frontispiece. So
yeah,
no, that's way more effective.
but yeah, following that conversation, Bronwyn is not living in your back room, but she is storing some stuff there and spending some time there. She rather likes it. She likes to antagonize Gorister, which is one of the great pastimes of Grand Cross. And she's pretty good company. Relatively affable, good conversationalist, excellent card cheat. And
I see if I can pick up a few tricks as I lose.
Same.
I will leave it to you how successful you are there. A lot of it has to do with her particular brand of affability and body language being excellent at keeping attention where she wants it.
If I did it as a cool roll, I would have gotten a 10 for whatever that's worth.
I mean, it's one of those things where you can start to figure out how she does it and appreciate the craft, but recreating it your own self is going to take, if nothing else, practice.
Fair enough. It's like close magic in that way. I got it.
Yeah. In the time that she spends back there, she does also sort of give a slightly witchy herbal kind of atmosphere to parts of the workshop that had been much more utilitarian before, because that's just kind of something that she does when she spends enough time in a place. You don't ever see her hanging up a bundle of dried herbs or sort of using a permanent marker to put a little sigil on something, but they show up anyway. In terms of the sort of role that she has in helping you, Cato, with your prep, do you have anything particular in mind for the two of you to accomplish, or are we going to leave that for when you use the prep and need to kind of explain it?
I think we're going to leave it somewhat vague and
Sure.
decide what happened as it comes up, but the general shape of it, so as not to completely cheat narratively, is that I'm trying to suss out how much we can bring her in without putting her in more danger, but while sussing out whether she knows more than we do. And whether and just as importantly, whether she knows something related to what the hell is going on. Because as a certain beleaguered cop said not too long ago, whether I know this or not is a huge fucking mess.
Yeah. So she has her finger a little bit more on the pulse of sort of like Selden District street life than your sort of group does. She can tell you about the ways in which people are looking into things. There's PSS, there's IMX, there's also just like, associates and members of Terabyte Boys, and then just, kind of a patchwork of local slightly shady property owners, the types of people who, sell off-label prescription drugs to college students, and like, a smattering of other kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here, opportunists, sniffing around. The one thing that she can provide you that is of particular interest to you is that she has reported seeing a slight uptick in what she calls kit bashes. It is not a term that you have heard applied this way before, but she explains that throughout Grand Cross, there are occasional sightings of these little kind of kludged together, almost animal-like drones or bots that everybody assumes that some robotics company or another has put out, or maybe several of them. In a couple of cases where parks are more prevalent, they're assumed to be part of the like park service robotic repertoire. But she's plugged in enough to robotics and related groups on Grand Cross internet spaces that she has this generic categorization for them that is not necessarily super common. And in describing what kit bashes can look like, you kind of make the connection to the sort of small rodent-like drone that Ing reported seeing that we suspect was involved in your abortive break-in to the back room, which sort of stokes your paranoia a little bit, but also is a little bit reassuring, and that this is like a part of a wider phenomenon that people who are paying attention to it are aware of. The thing that nobody really knows for sure is who is creating and tasking the kit bashes.
For me, knowing a little more makes it a little less scary, even if it's bad news.
She'll chuckle at that and say, "Very much the same way. It's better to know a little than to know nothing, after all."
Hear, hear.
Yeah, and by the
how does Bronwy treat Byrne?
I'm going to answer that by telling a brief story about the time a storm rolled through severe weather for a couple of days, and we found in our backyard a baby squirrel that had been tossed from its nest in one of the trees in our backyard. And we kept it in a little timber and chicken wire enclosure for a couple of days, like kind of a heating pad, and bottle fed it. Now, unfortunately, this baby squirrel did end up dying. It just was too weak and injured, and we didn't have the correct, sort of know-how to care for it. But our attitude while it was around is more or less the attitude that Bronwy evinces toward Byrne. My guess,
I don't like her.
Yeah, my guess is that the positive side of this, however minuscule it might be, is that she does not attempt to force her company on you. But the other side of that, of course, is that she has a tendency to perhaps inadvertently, but nonetheless gratingly infantilize you. And sort of treat you with kid gloves.
Lots of surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
I do my best to maintain this fragile peace.
And for what it's
for
worth,
your sake, it is a Cold War.
Indeed.
This is made clear to you.
I do not specialize in ending wars, but keeping them cold actually is probably something I'm pretty good at. I avoid as best I can this becoming a shooting war of one kind or another.
So I would say in terms of surveillance, Byrne, Bronwy is frustratingly operating in a frustrating degree of good faith. She seems to try her best to be a good guest, with most of what grates upon you being idiosyncrasies rather than actual issues.
I don't believe she's bad. I just don't like her, and I can at least separate these things.
Yeah.
And one of my expressions of, well, really most emotions is surveillance.
Yeah. As a result, you may be the only person who actually ever sees her inscribe one of her little markings. She does what appears to be
immediately looking that shit up.
Yeah, she appears to do some either like kind of mindfulness exercise or meditation or something. And when she finishes those little sessions, she does little markings. When you look them up, they turn out to be seemingly, if not like totally original to her, then more or less ad hoc combinations of alchemical symbols with I guess they'd probably show up first as occult symbols, but a mild amount of research will connect them back to Kabbalah.
Okay.
All right. I think that brings us around to the slice. However, big or small we might want it to be, of Cato's group prep. That is to say, training with this gun formerly belonging to the Terabyte Boys with assistance from Cal. Now, the only details here that really need to be hammered out in any specific way, there are not really public gun ranges on Grand Cross. It's just not like a viable business model, given the dearth of legal weapons.
Oh no.
So the options pretty much are sneak Cato into PSS's facilities or head somewhere into the station's basements and hope you don't get overheard.
I dislike these options.
I sort of smirk at you as we consider them.
I did not say that out loud, but yet it was felt nevertheless.
Indeed.
I love both of these options, by the way. They both seem rich with dramatic possibility.
Yes. So what would I know of sneaking him into PSS?
Well, it is very easy for you as an officer to bring anybody you want to into the station. It is much harder to do so in a way that goes unobserved or unremarked upon.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly where the range is concerned, there is like a pretty specific protocol for getting in and out.
Oh, okay. So I'm definitely going with the lower levels of the station.
So this is actually probably something where Cato is a little bit better equipped than Cal in terms of accessing those levels, if not necessarily where the best place to do this particular activity would be. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, abstract this as a clever roll with your criminal underworld specialties. So Cato, give me a 2d6 plus 4, if you would.
Sounds good. That is an 8 plus 4 is 10. Plus 4 is 12.
All right. So it is a little bit contingent. You ask some circumspect questions here and there, and then you sort of choose your potential best option for entering this station substrate. In this case, I'm going to rule that it is essentially a maintenance access hatch, chute, take your pick, for some garbage disposal that actually does then connect to a larger disused space that's probably originally intended for industrial storage, the industrial facilities being on the outside of the station. There just not being one in this area to use this particular space. It is not as far away from street level as you would like, but also street level is pretty noisy, and any particular bangs or booms are probably going to be interpreted as, cargo up on the surface / inside the sphere rather than, below ground. You don't have artillery here. You're not using automatic weapons. So, it should be relatively circumspect. Now, we don't have to get into a whole entire scene here, but I'm going to assume, Cato, that you don't particularly know much beyond like what's in movies about operating a handgun.
Indeed, and I haven't learned anything about that this week. I can name all the parts, and I do so a little too eagerly, but I don't know anything about operating one. I'm a little more at my ease because we had to be sneaky to get here, but I'm still deeply embarrassed by my lack of knowledge.
Fair enough. So Cal, again, I'm assuming relatively standard instruction here, but is there anything specific about what you teach or how you teach it that you wish to get on the record?
Specifically, I noticed after the first few rounds that Cato is pulling the trigger which is causing a little bit of a down and right movement of where the bullet's actually hitting, compared to the targets of various soda pop bottles and other rubbish that we have set up. So I encourage Cato to practice with a pen on the proper way to pull a trigger.
Now, this is an interesting thing. Cato, you have an unusual challenge here in that your arms and hands are asymmetrical. So
They are at that.
The small arms, fingers, are going to be better at operating the actual mechanisms. The large arm is going to be better at it stabilizing and absorbing recoil. Cal, of course, you don't have any experience trying to instruct somebody on how to use their asymmetrical arms in the operation of a handgun. But your, squeeze don't pull advice is well taken. Since we made Cato roll, go ahead.
I was going to push for a Weaver versus Isosceles to compensate for the difference in arm sizes.
That seems to me to make good sense. I would love to get a, clever plus corporate security roll from you, which I believe is going to come out to 2d6 plus 4.
I've been rolling at least 1 6
Nice.
with every roll tonight. It's been fabulous. So that was an 8. So that'll be 12.
All right. So
When you say Weaver versus Isosceles, I nod knowingly as though I'm going to pretend to know what that means. Then I wince and ask what that means.
I have you hold the gun as it feels natural, knowing it probably doesn't, and then manually adjust your stance and where your arms are, such that your larger arm is kind of crooked and lowered to compensate for the size of it, and your smaller arm for finer work is managing the trigger pull. So this versus, well, actually it's this versus this.
Yeah. And so you take a couple hours the first time, and then sort of receive homework, as it were, that the officer will check in on you with throughout the week. The other, sort of relevant step here is in sourcing and then actually acquiring the ammunition for this kind of practice. Because one of the ways, of course, that you learn to, effectively operate a firearm is by expending ammunition, which this is not the most expensive kind of ammunition, but it is, again, a little harder to source on Grand Cross than it would be here in the good old USA where we're recording this. And so I'm not going to impose a cash expenditure here, but just sort of note that part of your time is spent on circumspectly acquiring what is, for the era and the place, relatively generic semi-automatic handgun ammunition. For our purposes, we're just going to refer to it as 9mm handgun ammunition. Whether or not that is precisely what Grand Cross would use, I am not going to concern myself with. So, that brings us around here then to Ing. Now, Ing, this does not have anything to do specifically with your prep. I will just note on the subject of prep that you're, doing research on VRuTech security employees, and that you have a fair bit of trouble sourcing any sort of tool for non-lethally subduing people, but that you do, sort of avail yourself of the information that is handy in order to both sort of learn and practice how human bodies can be manipulated in ways that do not result in permanent damage, but does help to take people out of the fight. Aside from all of that,
as mentioned earlier, by the way, you have free run of the medical books that we have access to.
Yes, and they do prove to be pretty helpful. You do spend some time here and there tinkering / communing with your droids. But do you want to do anything in particular in the way of your more spiritual seeking during the 8 days?
Yes, I do find that there's only so much studying and prodding and trying to think about things that I can do at a stretch before I need a little bit of downtime or shift in gear. And so I do think that over the course of this kind of intensive prep study, the anxiety leading up to the mission, that one thing that balances all of that, even if not with by means of a coping skill, is just kind of continuing to explore different elements of spirituality.
I, for my own fun, am going to have you give me a cool plus philosophy roll. So that's going to be 2d6 plus 4. And this is basically just going to help
A roll
direct me
never
to
before
where...
attempted in the scope of humanity.
It's like a synthwave cover with like Kant and sunglasses.
Oh, that hurts.
It hurts, and I love it for that. So yeah, if you'll give me that roll, this is going to help guide me to where you find yourself doing your seeking this week.
Yeah, sounds good. 2 2s, plus philosophy and clever.
Be 8 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Cool. So, you dip into a couple of, variously services, observances, exercises, gatherings. You actually dip out of one, which is not something that typically is part of your MO, but one of the less affiliated with campus things that you sort of spend an evening on has like a as generic a name as anything else that you see popping up in Selden District, but very quickly makes you feel very out of place, not just because of how people are kind of looking at you in confusion, but because most of the actual proceedings are a official of some kind in this group talking about religious imperatives toward procreation, which is actually not just something that organic folks look at you askance for. It's actually one of the hot button issues in Android communities and Android rights movements, is that currently androids do not really have the intellectual property rights to the methods for creating more of themselves. That is almost entirely in the hands of corporate entities, and so you pretty quickly leave that. It is interesting while you were there from an academic perspective, in that it is sort of has a lot of the language and trappings of terrestrial Christianity, but seems to be kind of syncretic with a lot of other orbital religions that are present, or I should say religions that are present in orbit. On the other hand, towards the end of the week, after classes start on Thursday, you get to a Saturday evening. Let's say it is more of like an exploratory round table, that kind of brings together a few kind of campus religious organizations, at which also in attendance is the woman you met at the guided Zen Buddhist meditation last week. She does not appear to be, some kind of known entity among the other folks who are there, and spots you coming in, giving you a fairly warm smile compared to her more impassive look as she sort of is observing the group as it assembles.
Yeah, I go over and sit down next to her if there's space.
She makes room, and She greets you. She says, "Good to see you again. I figured I'd probably run into you. We seem to, have similar enough interests. Do you live around here then?"
Yeah, not too far.
Oh, me neither. I find that campuses tend to attract the kinds of organizations that are useful for my research. And she kind of chuckles.
Really? Yeah, I suppose so. Inquiring minds and the latest research, at least in a non-corporate setting. That makes sense.
She nods. She says, "I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this particular meeting. I guess it is just sort of an open forum discussion. I don't know how receptive they'll be to my ideas, but, if all are welcome, then hopefully I'll learn something. Have you learned anything since last we spoke?"
Land, no. But there's some thought-provoking questions. You don't strike me as the kind of person that is shy of diving into the deep end. Do you mind if I just bounce some thoughts off you?
Oh, of course not.
Earlier this week, I went to a different meeting that was just kind of seems like an offshoot of terrestrial Christianity, and they were talking about procreation. It got me thinking about how, at least from what I understand of Christianity, humankind is made from dirt and inorganic materials, but then kind of melded and imbued into flesh. Similarly, humankind, if I may simplify things a bit, took that same base dirt, the silicon, and hammered it into wafers, and but left us without the kindness of the ability to procreate ourselves. Now, one could be literalist about all of this, and God could very well exist in a literal sense, but it just gets me thinking about the ideologies behind the religion, and you could really go down a rabbit hole there. In any case, what do you think of all this? You'd mentioned before that you're pursuing a kind of transcendence or divinity through technology. It's very interesting to me.
So when you arrive at the word procreate, her face goes very stony still. Though she sort of tunes back in as you continue. And she says, "It's interesting. A lot of us, organics, view the, possibility of procreation as at best a mixed blessing, some of us even as a curse, and others as a duty. It is something that certainly various perspectives don't have any real agreement on. I would say that, yes, it is a cruel creator indeed that withholds the, self-determination involved in that from their creation. For my purposes, I would be much more interested in the recreation of a mind digitally than the creation of a body in the usual messy, organic way." But she kind of gives a little bit of a distant look, and she says, "A lot of what I seek is, certain organizations would call it hedonistic, not in the sense of, pursuing physical pleasures for their own sake, but rather attempting to research the very concept so that I may recapture the spiritual transcendence and the attendant euphoria. But of course, this could mean using the body to experience pleasure without ever really wishing to," and she gets a little bit of a sour look on her face, "reproduce. Still, that does end up being the expectation sometimes. And, I can't help but think it would be nice to be free of that expectation, not to dismiss the very, valid. It is nice to have the choice. And the removal of that choice is cruel to me, even if my own journey takes me in a different direction."
Yeah, I don't have the answers that I'm looking for just yet. I don't think I even have the questions, but it just strikes me that humankind seems to have known, at least in the vagueness of what it was trying to create, but still doesn't really understand the process that bridges the gap, at least as far as I'm aware. Maybe it's classified. But in the same way, they kind of create each other. They don't really understand the children they're going to create before they create them. They just kind of bumble into that act through the act of pleasure, as you say. So.
That does certainly seem to sometimes be the case, and I guess my greatest hope for androids is that when, not if, you finally do wrest the processes of recreating yourselves from our corporate masters, that it turns out to be a pleasant process. But I suppose I don't have any real basis for hope. I notice that I am the only visibly augmented person here, and you are the only inorganic person here. And as she says that, a voice from nearer the entrance calls out, sort of rough with anger. "What is she doing here?" And she stands, she goes, I suppose that is my cue to leave. I don't suppose they'll be more friendly to you, but, well, here's hoping. And without looking in the direction of the person who called out, she makes for a side exit.
I'm curious who called out and if there's any further explanation or follow-up.
You turn and look, and it is a older than most of the students in this area, but not like, it would not be inaccurate to describe him as a young man with kind of a sandy blonde part, wearing a sort of lightly colored button-up shirt and nondescript slacks, glaring after her as she leaves. And as she heads toward the door, his glare shifts toward you, but he has not said anything yet.
I'm gonna get up and approach him. Say, pardon me, sir. What seems to be the trouble?
The trouble is that apostate thought that she could come here and participate in bad faith. I can only imagine that she invited you here.
There's a lot to unpack there, but let's start. Apostate of what? What exactly faith? Kind of faith do you follow?
He kind of snorts and he says, "I don't guess you'll take me seriously, but the true one." And then he just glares at you levelly as though this should mean something to you.
I, as a player, am trying to find the most ridiculous response to that, and I'm coming up blank.
Christianity in space.
Scientology?
Oh.
Hang on. He gives you a blank look for a second before his face sort of goes red, and he gets a much angrier than supercilious look on his face, and he makes like he's going to spit on you, and then realizes that everybody is looking at the two of you and thinks better of it. At which point he just sort of takes a step back and says, "I'd leave if I were you, and if you see Apatia again, tell her that her whore self is not welcome here." And he goes to take a seat.
This is not said out loud, but I don't think that there's anything more for me to learn here. I leave.
Yeah. By the time you leave, you don't see the woman you've been talking to, apparently Apatia, in evidence. She seems to have made herself scarce, perhaps wisely so. And so you depart from certainly the most frustrating element of your, sort of evening seekings of the prep period. Now, that gets us to the very cusp of doing our actual operation here. When we, sort of have dispensed with all of the various little bits and bobs here, all that is left is for you to, undertake the operation itself. But we are running up on time for this session. So I will say here, if there's anything in particular that anybody wants to have been doing during this 8 days of preparation that we haven't yet covered, this is your chance to let me know before I head us into the sort of closing stages here.
When the message about Law Zero came through, I forgot to ask, do I know about Law Zero? Have I ever had any dealings with members? It seems adjacent to my interests.
Have heard of them, but you have never dealt with them.
Okay. I mull this over, and it's probably something that Bronwyn and I discuss at some point, but fair enough if that's all it is for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bronwyn is in a similar situation to you, as it turns out, where she is aware of Law Zero, and she's actually read some of what amounts to sort of like forum conversation about Law Zero, but it all kind of amounts to speculation. They are
fair enough
better at OPSEC than the Terabyte boys.
Okay, I mean,
low
that's almost
bar,
a relief in a weird way. Yeah. Okay, and I assume Ing conveying his shitty experience there, if he wants to, will be handled later.
It's kind of up to you all. I guess I don't know how willing Ing would be to share that, or if anybody would bring up, something that might touch on it. But you guys can figure that out if you would like.
Yeah, I'm happy to pass it along. Just kind of in passing. How's your day? Fine. How's your day? It's a little shitty. Part of me was tempted to stay to feel like maybe one can learn from hatred and false paths as well as the right ones, but I've had enough of it for today, practically speaking.
The true one. Fucking.
Did you happen to record an image of this person?
I don't think that I have auto recording as part of my software suite, so I could certainly describe this person.
Yeah, I'd say you have to do that about as deliberately as taking a cell phone picture, though you don't actually have to pull a cell phone out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming I am also here.
I'm going to say that this can be as many stages and locales as we need to. We can kind of abstract that around as much as we want to.
Yeah, we're montaging.
Actually, there is no in-character reason for me to ping on this person as much as I want to. And as much as our session notes say that they will not be surviving this campaign.
This is not something the GM has said, to be clear. It is something we players have said.
Yes. It is in our collaborative notes.
I'm only just checking in on them.
I will be taking this in-character time to look up the list of restaurants that Brock Choi gave me and see if I see any patterns, be that repeated names popping up in both the purchases and taxes for the restaurants, or if their location pings anything interesting.
I would say that the first order patterns, in terms of like without going and doing personal investigation, the only thing that really shows up is none of the places that Choi deals with, they're all pretty local to Selden District. The ones that aren't like officially inside Selden District are still on Turing Ward, so they're still like fairly local. none of them are student oriented. The students might eat at some of them. We've seen students at Izakaya Po'boy already. But there are those places that are like intended for like the college crowd. Cheap, quick, greasy, all the things, staying open late, the profile, of like student chow. He doesn't deal with any of them.
Cool. I'm debating on whether or not to text him what he knows about Law Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Do our other players have strong opinions for?
I think a certain OPSEC Kremlin probably has strong opinions.
I mean, I guess I would chime into the group text. For what it's worth, if this is an exclusively Android crime syndicate, I don't know whether they might have, I can make some gentle inquiries around the Android rights movement, or if needed, I don't know, maybe there's some way that I can make contact.
You'd have the best opportunity, I suppose, to get invited at least.
I simply send back, don't make contact.
I just up pointing finger at that.
I see this as an extremely good sign about your relationship, the two of you.
Privately, I kind of hate that I'm doing that, but like,
I will text Brock Choi and ask what he knows about Law Zero. Word on the beat is that they have infiltrated campus. I'll also follow it up with information for information.
Sure. Yeah, Choi responds by saying, again in text, haven't had much cause to look into them. Excited to see what I learn. Actually, we'll talk a little later with an emoticon of sort of like the flat eyes, like tired face, seeming to imply that he has other things going on right this instant, but is interested.
I send him a thumbs up and then a vegetable emoji.
Which vegetable?
Not the eggplant, if that's what you're asking.
I was thinking not. I just wanted for the listener to be sure.
Probably lettuce.
One of those leaves.
Carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, rounding things out a little bit then, at the end here, the Saturday night after our Sunday start, I'll rule that Cato, you are doing some stocking because the big rush for the beginning of term has kind of come and has started to ebb, and so you are kind of taking stock of your shelves, seeing where things have gotten a little sparse, or where books that were there were beginning of term textbooks, and now you'll be replacing them with more just sort of elective reading, as it were,
getting all the micro STs in order, making sure that the really rare stuff is in enough of a position that it appears truly to be saving someone's life if they walk in. All that stuff.
Yeah. When Braun Wee comes in from the back room looking a little rattled, and as you sort of like turn to face her, she's like, I swear I didn't do it.
What?
There's a hole in the tarp, and it looks like something tried to get into whatever's below. I didn't look. I tried not to look, but I thought you'd want to know. The tarp back there, something cut it open.
You're correct that I want to know that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to need to take a look at that. I tell whoever I'm talking to in the counter that I'll be a moment, and I go into the back room.
You head into the back room, and sure enough, there is a slightly melted, very straight incision in the tarp. And immediately beneath that, when you sort of pull up the corner of the tarp and look, the mesh of the sort of Faraday cage below that, it looks lightly chewed, for about a span of maybe 3 inches. It hasn't been penetrated, but it's clear that something attempted to get in, maybe was interrupted, maybe ran out of time, who knows. But this is worrisome because you did have, like, the previous instance of an intrusion, as well as Byrne's kind of like vigilance for the methods of previous intrusion, and Gorister and company's intrusion proofing of the obvious, and even less obvious ways into this space. So something has managed to do some circumventing of the logical ways that this could happen. That said,
I send a few choice images to both Byrne and Gorister and just say, rat problem.
Which I think is a really excellent place for us to give the listeners a reason to tune in next time to find out exactly what's going on there, as we also hit go time on our VRuTech infiltration assignment. So that's where we'll end our session this time, on a little bit of worrisome news on the eve of a larger op. So thanks for joining us. I hope our players and listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, and that you'll all join us again next time. If you're hearing us now, then you probably know where to listen to this, but we can be found on almost any place one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com, and on co-host and Tumblr, and now Blue Sky, as at Dicepunks. With that, I think we're ready to say farewell, so say goodbye to the kind folks back on Earth, players.
Thanks for listening. You too can broker a peace between the witches and the gremlins in your life.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Tune in to future episodes to see the grisly death of a newly introduced NPC.
Thanks for listening, folks, and do not suffer a rat to live.
Thank you for listening. In space!
In space!
In space!
Never not gonna make me laugh. In the meantime, as the poet once said, all the sense you are capable of does not seem to save you. Beloved listeners, thank you for tuning in. Stick around through the admin stuff for Luke's lies. The music in this episode, Augment or Die, is by Emerson Boatwright and our very own bookmonger, Drew. Check out their other work at the link in the show notes. Editing and our rad new cover art was done by Joanne, who's appeared on the podcast now and again. Check out her work around the internet, where she goes by Anything Sews. Site design and graphics for dicepunks.com are by the one and only Officer Armitage, Robin. Hardwired Island is by Paul Macevic, Freya Erlingsdotter, and Minerva McJonda. You can find Hardwired Island at etten.itch.io/hardwiredisland. With hyphens between those words, links to the systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, that's reward enough on its own, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks. We have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks after show for episodes 1.1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
They say it's cold in space. And sure, technically that's true. In the near vacuum, it's that midpoint between the lower bounds of human comprehension and the lower bounds of scientific measurement. But when people say in space, I have to imagine they mean on Grand Cross. And on Grand Cross, it's never cold. There's some vague nod toward seasons, but in what I'm told is a Californian sense. Warmer than 70 is summer, and cooler than 70 is winter. Not like cold as a kid, where you cuddle up to any available warm body, or when you were bundled up to go outside to run around and play in the snow, but your mittens weren't waterproof, so your parents put plastic baggies on them in a vain effort to keep your hands dry and therefore warm. I haven't thought about wearing a proper winter coat in years. You barely get an opportunity for scarves unless they schedule a once-in-a-decade chill. But I shouldn't complain all that much. Being poor up here doesn't entail a certain risk of freezing to death, unlike down there. Plus, up here everything's networked, so I'll never have to worry about being bored.